You ever had one of those mornings where you wake up, everything feels completely normal, and then your phone shows you something that just rewires your entire brain? Like one notification, and suddenly the whole story you thought you knew about your own life looks completely different? That's what happened to me on a random Tuesday. And the craziest part? It all started with a Facebook post. Stick with me here, because this gets so much worse. And honestly, so much better. Before it's over. I'm Jordan, 29 male. I work in logistics management. I pay my bills. I've got a dog named Rex, who is genuinely the most reliable relationship I've ever had. And up until 18 months ago, I was married to a woman named Maria. She's 27. We got married young. I was 23. She was 21. And we were the kind of couple that looked really good in pictures. That's maybe the most honest thing I can say about us. In pictures, we were great. In real life, we were two people slowly growing in completely opposite directions, and neither one of us wanted to be the first to say out loud. The marriage lasted 4 years. The divorce finalized 18 months ago. No kids, no major court fights. We split everything reasonably, and I walked away with my truck, my tools, Rex, and a quiet apartment I slowly started to actually enjoy. I didn't hate Maria after the divorce. I didn't love her either. She just kind of existed in that category of people who used to matter and now don't really factor into your daily life anymore. We had zero reason to talk. No custody arrangements, no shared accounts, nothing tying us together. Clean break, or so I thought. So when my buddy Derek, who is the kind of guy who tags everyone and everything with zero filter, sent me a notification on a Tuesday morning that Maria had posted something I wasn't expecting much. I figure it was one of those inspirational quotes she used to love, or maybe a vacation photo. I clicked it with one hand while I was pouring my coffee with the other. The caption read, "So blessed to announce, I'm pregnant with twins. God is good." There were already over 200 likes on it. I stood in my kitchen, holding my phone, and just stared at that for a solid minute. Rex was sitting at my feet, giving me the "it's breakfast time" look, and I could not move. Because here's the thing, and this is the part that nobody knew. Not Maria, not my family, not Derek, not a single living person outside of my doctor's office. I had gotten a vasectomy 3 years ago, right in the middle of our marriage. Maria had always talked about wanting kids someday, and I'd done a lot of honest thinking and realized that I genuinely didn't want them. It wasn't a decision I made out of anger or to spite her. It was just me finally being real with myself. But I was too scared to tell her because I knew it would blow everything up. So I just didn't. I kept the paperwork. I knew what I'd done, and I carried that quietly. I'm not pretending that was a good thing to do. It wasn't, but it's the truth, and it matters to everything that comes next. The vasectomy was 3 years ago. The divorce finalized 18 months ago. We were still legally married when I had the procedure. So the math here is really simple. If Maria is pregnant with twins right now, those babies are not mine. They cannot be mine. Biologically, medically, there is zero chance. And she posted about it on Facebook, before calling me, before calling my mother, who was still Facebook friends with her, before telling anyone in my family who might have had some kind of stake in finding out this information through a real conversation rather than a social media announcement. I scrolled down and saw that my mom had already liked the post. My mom, who still sent Maria Christmas cards, found out her former daughter-in-law was pregnant by reading a Facebook caption with emoji in it. By the time I finished reading the comments, the post was sitting at 347 likes, and I typed my comment. I want to be really clear about this. My hands were completely steady when I typed it. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't furious. I was just precise. Like something in me went very calm and very clear all at once. Congratulations. Who's the father? I posted it. Put my phone face down on the counter. Fed Rex's breakfast. Made my coffee. And waited. For minutes. That's how long it took. My phone started ringing, and it was Maria, and I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail again. Third call, I picked up. What is wrong with you? She was already at full volume. Good morning, Maria. You need to delete that comment right now. Do you understand how embarrassing this is? Who's the father? I asked. Same voice. Calm. She went quiet for a few seconds, which is a long time when you're on the phone waiting for someone to answer a pretty direct question. Jordan, this is complicated, and you don't just get to, who is he? She let out a breath. His name is Brandon. We've been together for 8 months. But that doesn't mean you get to humiliate me in front of everyone I know. 8 months, I said. So about 6 months after the divorce was finalized. Yes, I waited. I was respectful about it. And you're having his twins, but you told Facebook before you told my family. Why would I tell your family? We're divorced, Jordan. Because my mom liked your post, Maria. She found out from a Facebook status. My mom, who still sends you cards every Christmas. Quiet again. Smaller this time. I could tell that one hit somewhere real. I need you to delete that comment, she said, softer now, switching approaches. You're making people think something happened. You're implying things. I'm implying exactly what's true. Jordan, I'm not deleting it. I hung up. Now here's where I need to tell you about Maria, because the phone call was just the beginning. Maria is not the kind of person who takes no for an answer on the first try, or the second, or the fifth. Over the next 48 hours, I watched her run what I can only describe as an actual campaign to get me to back down. First move, she sent her older sister Diane to my apartment. Diane showed up with this very carefully arranged look of concern on her face, like she practiced on the drive over, and sat down on my couch and told me that Maria was devastated by my cruelty, that the stress I was causing could hurt the pregnancy, and this is the one that really got me, that I owed Maria better than this. I looked at Diane for a long moment. Did Maria tell you why I asked the question? Diane blinked. What do you mean? Ask her, I said. Ask Maria why her ex-husband would be confused about who fathered her children. Then come back and let's talk about what I owe. Diane left looking genuinely uncomfortable. She never came back. Second move, Brandon. I found out about this part later, but Brandon had seen my comment. His family had seen it, and he went to Maria wanting to know what was going on with her ex publicly questioning paternity of his kids. Good. Reasonable thing to want to know. Maria apparently fed him some version of the story where I was just a bitter ex who couldn't handle the fact that she'd moved on. He bought it. Because 2 days later he posted a photo of himself and Maria with a caption about being ready to be a father, and he tagged me in it. He tagged me specifically. I don't know if Maria told him to do that, or if he came up with it on his own, but that little move was a message. Back off. Fall in line. I left the tag there and said nothing. Third move, and honestly this was the boldest one. She called my mother. I found out from my mom, Patricia, who called me on a Sunday afternoon sounding genuinely confused. Jordan, honey, Maria called me and said you've been harassing her. She said you've been leaving comments on her posts and making things difficult. And your Uncle Gary thinks maybe you should talk to someone. Mom, I said, stop for a second. Did Maria tell you why I left that comment? She said you're jealous she moved on. Mom, I had a vasectomy 3 years ago, while we were still married. Those babies Maria's carrying are not mine and could not be mine. The silence on the other end of that call lasted a long time. Oh, my mom finally said, yeah. Oh, Jordan, I don't know exactly what my mother said to Maria after she hung up with me, but Maria never called my mom again. And my Uncle Gary stopped suggesting therapy pretty quickly, too. Now here's the part of the story where things shift, because I thought the insurance thing was going to be a small footnote. Turns out it was the whole second chapter. My cousin Tyler works in insurance, specifically in medical billing review, which means he sees a lot of paperwork crossing a lot of desks. About 3 weeks after the Facebook post, Tyler called me with this energy where I could tell he was uncomfortable, but felt like he could not say something. Hey, so I need to tell you something, and I need you not to ask me exactly how I know, he said. Okay. Maria filed a medical insurance claim recently. Prenatal stuff. And Jordan, your name is on the policy. I sat completely still. Say that again. She's still listed as a dependent on your insurance. I don't know if it was a clerical error when you divorced or if nobody caught it or what, but she's been using your coverage for the prenatal appointments. 10 seconds of silence on my end. For Brandon's kids, I said slowly, she's been billing my insurance for prenatal care for Brandon's kids. I don't know whose kids they are. Man, I just know your policy is being billed, and your name is the primary. I thanked Tyler and hung up, and I sat there thinking about something Maria had said to me on the phone 3 weeks earlier, real early in that first conversation. I waited. I was respectful. Respectful. I called a lawyer the next morning. Kevin Marsh, family law attorney, had been recommended by a co-worker during the actual divorce. I laid out everything for him. The vasectomy, the Facebook post, the insurance billing, the full timeline of the marriage and divorce. Kevin listened to all of it without interrupting once. The insurance situation is the most immediately actionable thing here, he said. Using a former spouse's insurance without authorization after a divorce is insurance fraud. You have full grounds to report this to your carrier, and the carrier has a right to pursue repayment and potentially refer the matter for criminal review depending on the total amounts. What kind of money are we talking about? Prenatal care for twins, multiple OB visits, specialist consultations, ultrasounds, blood panels. You're potentially looking at $8,000 to $15,000 billed by this point, depending on how long the coverage has been in use. And if she were to deliver while still on your policy, that number goes significantly higher. She is not going to deliver on my policy. I said, I'd also suggest you pull your certified documentation from the vasectomy procedure just to have it in hand. You're not being named in any paternity action. You're divorced, so you likely won't need it legally. But given the circumstances, it's smart to have it documented and accessible. I already had it filed away. I work in logistics. I document everything. That's just how my brain works. I called my insurance carrier's fraud division that same afternoon. I kept my report straightforward. My ex-wife appeared to have remained on my policy in error following our divorce. Claims were being processed under my coverage, and I was bringing it to their attention. I didn't characterize her intent. I just reported the facts and let them do their job. They moved fast, faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks, Maria received a formal letter from the insurance company. Coverage terminated retroactively to the divorce finalization date. All claims paid out during the unauthorized coverage period under review. Repayment demand forthcoming. I know all of this because Maria called me the moment she got that letter, and she was not calm this time. She was completely past calm. You reported me? You actually reported me to your insurance company? I am pregnant, Jordan. Pregnant with twins. Do you understand what you've done? I could lose my coverage for the rest of this pregnancy. Because of you. You lost coverage. I said, because you were never authorized to be on the policy after the divorce. That's not something I did to you. That's a consequence of something you did. I didn't even know I was still on it. Then you should have verified your insurance situation when the divorce finalized. That's a basic thing to do, Maria. I could sue you for harassment. For what? Reporting accurate information to my own insurance carrier? That's not harassment. That's just me doing something I should have done sooner. I kept my voice even. What's real here is that my insurance company paid out claims on your behalf after you had no legal right to that coverage, and now they want that money back. That has nothing to do with me. That's between you and them. Brandon doesn't have insurance right now, she said, and her voice cracked a little. He's between jobs. We are in a really difficult position here, and you're making it so much worse. And she stopped herself, but not quickly enough. And there it was. That was the real shape of everything. Just sitting right out in the open. She hadn't stayed on my policy by accident or oversight. She'd stayed on it because she needed it. Because Brandon didn't have coverage. Because somewhere in her thinking, the logic had formed that this was just a practical thing to do. Just making use of something available. Just a residual benefit of having been married to me, even though the marriage had been legally and completely over for a year and a half. She had convinced herself she was owed it. That's the only way I can explain it. She just decided, on some level, that this was fine. I'm sorry to hear that you're in a difficult position, I said. And I hung up. Kevin filed a civil complaint the following week, not chasing a huge number. The insurance carrier was already pursuing their own repayment action, but enough to put everything formally on record and make it absolutely clear that we weren't interested in this just disappearing. Maria retained her own attorney, some guy named Phil, who sent over a letter pretty quickly suggesting we pursue mediated resolution, which is just lawyer language for can we make this go away for less money and less attention. We could not. The insurance company's repayment demand came in at $11,400. The civil complaint Kevin filed was for an additional $3,000 covering my legal fees and the administrative costs of cleaning up the policy situation. Phil countered with $4,000 and a letter of apology. Kevin asked me directly what the principal was worth to me. More than $7,400. I told him. We rejected the counter and kept going. It took 4 months total. 4 months of paperwork and documentation, and one deposition that Maria apparently found very uncomfortable to sit through. And then there was the mediation session. Maria had requested mediation as a last attempt to settle before we got any further into the litigation. What she had not fully prepared for was Brandon showing up to that session. He came with her, clearly not completely briefed on all the details, and had to sit there while Kevin calmly laid out the full timeline, the vasectomy date, the marriage dates, the divorce finalization, the insurance enrollment, the billing history. Brandon's face during that summary is something I'm going to remember for a long time. Not with any particular enjoyment. It was more like watching someone realize in real time that the story they'd been told had some pretty significant pages missing. He didn't say a word the entire session, but he and Maria left that building in separate cars. What happened between them after that is none of my business, and honestly none of my concern. That's their story, not mine. The settlement came through at $13,200 total. The insurance carrier recovered their $11,400 directly from Maria. The civil portion settled at $1,800 above my covered legal fees. I took that $1,800 and donated it to a nonprofit that helps low-income men access vasectomy procedures, because I thought that was fitting in a way that I genuinely appreciated. The Facebook comment sat on her original post for 3 weeks. Maria eventually deleted the entire pregnancy announcement post. By that point, most of our mutual social circle had already seen the whole thread. Several people sent me private messages. Most of them just said some version they hadn't realized, or they didn't know the full story. My mother sent Maria a handwritten note. My mom is old school like that. She told Maria that she wished her well with the pregnancy, but that she wouldn't be maintaining contact going forward. My mom is not a dramatic person at all. She doesn't do scenes. She doesn't do confrontations. That note was the quietest and most final thing she could have done. Derek, who started all of this by tagging me in the post, grabbed beers with me about 2 months after everything wrapped up. He wanted the full story. I gave it to him, and he sat there shaking his head for most of it. The insurance thing, he kept saying, the insurance thing gets me the most. Yeah, like, she just decided that was fine. She just looked at the situation and said, yeah, this is fine, I'll just do this. People build stories for themselves, I said. Stories where whatever they need becomes something they deserve. She probably wasn't even fully aware she was doing it. That's almost the scariest part. And the babies? They've got a father. That's not my situation to worry about. Derek nodded and was quiet for a second. Then he started smiling. But that comment, though, Jordan, 347 likes before she even saw it. 347 likes. I said, that comment is legendary. I finished my beer. Rex was home waiting. I had an early morning. My apartment was quiet in a way I'd learned to actually like. I paid the tab and drove home. If you stuck around for all of that, you already know you need to subscribe. Because if you leave now, you'll miss the next story, and I promise you it's going to be just as wild. Don't be like Maria. Make a smart decision.